Heartland. Season 19, Episode 7 is about to hit fans like a storm, and honestly, I don't think any of us are ready for what's coming. Everything we thought was stable is starting to crack, and the trailer hints at something truly devastating. Amy is finally ready to open her heart again, to dream of something bigger, something permanent. But just when she takes that emotional step forward, Nathan takes two giant steps back. And the worst part? This isn't just a small misunderstanding. This is the kind of shift that changes the entire season. So let's break down why Episode 7 might become the most painful, most game-changing chapter of Heartland Season 19 so far. Episode 7 begins by placing Amy in a surprisingly tender emotional space, one that she hasn't been in for years. After helping Nathan's old friend prepare for his wedding, something inside her wakes up, something she didn't even realize she was suppressing. All the wedding decorations, the vows, the joy, the nervous excitement. It all pulls her back to the last time she felt that kind of magic. Her wedding with Ty wasn't just a ceremony, it was the highlight of her youth, the moment she believed the world could only get better from there. And standing in the middle of someone else's fairy tale now forces her to face a truth she's been avoiding. She misses that feeling. She misses being part of a partnership where both people are completely committed to each other. She misses having a future to build toward. But more than anything, she realizes that for the first time since Ty's death, she actually wants that again, wants that sense of belonging, that sense of a shared destiny. And it hits her hard, because suddenly she can't ignore the possibility that Nathan could be that person for her. He's been steady, supportive, and unexpectedly gentle in ways Amy didn't think she would get to experience again. For Amy, this realization doesn't come with fear this time. It comes with hope. But while she is quietly opening her heart, Nathan is silently closing off his. The trailer doesn't hide it at all. Nathan is clearly struggling, caught between Amy and the crushing obligations his sister keeps piling on his shoulders, and the irony is almost cruel. Just when Amy begins imagining a future with him, Nathan begins imagining a life where he might have to walk away to save his family's ranch. This emotional imbalance becomes the core of Episode 7's tension. Amy wants clarity, connection, and the chance to love fully again, while Nathan is drowning in guilt, responsibility, and fear of losing everything he grew up fighting for. The more Amy opens up, the more Nathan retreats, creating a slow, heartbreaking distance that she can feel even if he refuses to say anything out loud. It's one of those classic Heartland moments where the universe gives you hope just long enough to rip it away, and the way Amy tries to hide her confusion and disappointment only makes it worse. The devastating part? She blames herself. She thinks she misread everything. She thinks she moved too fast. She thinks maybe she isn't ready after all. But the truth couldn't be further from that. She is ready. For the first time in a long time, she is truly ready. Meanwhile, Nathan is the one spiraling, not because of Amy, but because his sister knows exactly how to manipulate him. Every guilt trip, every reminder of the ranch, every comment about their father's legacy chips away at his confidence. She convinces him that choosing Amy means abandoning his family, abandoning his duty, and abandoning the last thing their father built. And Nathan, being who he is, starts believing her. Episode 7 sets up this emotional collision slowly, painfully, and with the kind of tension that tells you something big is coming. Amy is opening her heart to a future. Nathan is preparing himself for a sacrifice. And the audience? We're stuck watching two paths move in completely opposite directions, knowing they're supposed to meet in the middle, but terrified they won't. If the trailer is any indication, Episode 7 won't just change their relationship, it will reshape the entire trajectory of the season. This isn't just another small bump in the road. This is the beginning of a turning point, one that will leave Amy questioning everything, and Nathan facing a choice that could break both of them. Episode 7 digs deep into Nathan's inner collapse, and honestly, it's painful to watch because you can almost feel how torn he is from the inside out. This isn't the confident, grounded man Amy fell for. This is someone losing control of his entire life piece by piece, and the worst part is, he doesn't even realize how quickly he is slipping. His sister's influence becomes suffocating in this episode. She knows exactly which emotional scars to press, exactly which fears to bring up, and exactly how to make him believe that he owes her everything. She doesn't care about Amy or Heartland or even Nathan's happiness. All she sees is the ranch, the money, the legacy, and the control she can gain if Nathan feels too guilty to stand up for himself. And episode 7 shows Nathan being crushed under that weight. He starts doubting every decision he makes. He pulls away from Amy not because he wants to, but because he believes the only way to save the ranch is to distance himself from anything that isn't directly tied to its survival, including her. It's heartbreaking because he doesn't communicate any of this. He shuts down, goes cold, and emotionally disappears behind this wall of responsibility that Amy can't break through. And the sad truth is, Amy can sense the shift instantly. She sees how distracted he is, how he avoids eye contact, how his voice changes when she asks if everything is okay. But Nathan keeps insisting he's just busy, which only makes everything worse because it leaves Amy confused and increasingly insecure. She has finally opened her heart again, finally allowed herself to imagine a future with someone, only to feel him slip away without explanation. Episode 7 shows Nathan constantly torn between his sister's manipulative warnings and his genuine feelings for Amy, and the tension builds until he reaches a breaking point. There's a moment in the trailer where Nathan looks completely exhausted, shoulders tense, eyes unfocused, like someone who hasn't slept because he's been wrestling with the same impossible question. Does he choose the woman who makes him feel alive, or the family legacy that's been weighing him down his entire life? The worst part is that Nathan believes he can't have both. His sister has twisted the narrative so much that he thinks choosing Amy means betraying his father. She tells him that Amy is a distraction, that Amy is pulling him away, that Amy will ruin the ranch the same way she ruined Gracie's plans. And because Nathan is vulnerable, overwhelmed, and emotionally isolated, he starts believing every lie. Episode 7 shows him distancing himself from Amy even more, spending long hours at the ranch, avoiding her messages, and shutting down every opportunity she tries to create for them to talk. This emotional withdrawal creates a quiet kind of heartbreak, the type that doesn't explode, it erodes. Amy can feel him fading, Nathan can feel himself slipping, and the audience is forced to watch the slow unraveling of something that could have been beautiful. What makes this section of the story truly devastating is that Nathan doesn't want to hurt Amy at all. He loves her, maybe more than he realizes, but he doesn't know how to fight back against the pressure he's under. So he chooses the worst path possible: silence. And silence, especially in a relationship that's only just beginning to heal Amy's heart, is a weapon that wounds deeper than words ever could. Episode 7 marks the start of Nathan's downfall, not because he's a bad person, but because he's being pulled in 100 directions at once, with no space to breathe, no space to think, and certainly no space to love. And what this does to Amy will echo throughout the rest of the season. This episode sets the stage for a painful emotional distance that threatens to destroy their bond completely, unless one of them finds the courage to confront the truth before it's too late. Episode 7 pushes Amy into one of the most emotionally vulnerable places we've seen her in years. What makes this section so brutal is that Amy doesn't walk into it expecting heartbreak. In fact, she walks into episode 7 with something dangerously close to hope. After helping with the wedding preparations, she finally allows herself to imagine what life could look like if she let someone in again. She thinks about marriage, about building something long-term, about having a partner, not to replace Ty, but to build a new chapter that honors where she has been and where she wants to go. But while Amy is quietly opening her heart, she starts noticing the smallest, yet sharpest signs that something is wrong. Nathan feels distant. He feels colder. He feels distracted. And Amy, who has always been sensitive to emotional shifts, picks up on every single one. It starts with unanswered messages, then short replies, then missed plans. At first, she tries to rationalize it. She tells herself he's overwhelmed, that he's tired, that he's dealing with family issues she doesn't fully understand, but as the episode progresses, those excuses stop working. The silence grows louder, heavier, impossible to ignore. And the trailer hints at a moment where Amy finally asks him directly if something is wrong, only to have Nathan dismiss her with the most painful half-answer imaginable. He tells her it's nothing, that he's fine, that he's just busy. But his voice, his eyes, she recognizes the signs, not because she's insecure, but because she's lived through real loss. So when she feels Nathan closing the door on her slowly, silently, with no explanation, it hits her in a place she wasn't ready to revisit. Episode 7 shows Amy trying desperately to understand the distance. She starts doubting herself, wondering if she misread everything, wondering if she opened up too quickly, wondering if she shouldn't have allowed herself to dream again. This internal conflict becomes one of the most heartbreaking elements of the episode, because Amy has spent years rebuilding her life, learning to trust, learning to feel, learning to be more than the woman who lost her husband. She has grown so much, and allowing herself to imagine a future with Nathan was a milestone, a sign of healing, of resilience, of hope. But Nathan's sudden emotional retreat feels like a rejection of all that progress. It makes Amy feel small again, unsure, exposed in a way she never wanted to be. What makes this even more devastating is that she truly believed Nathan was different. She believed he was steady, loyal, grounded. She believed he wanted a future with her too. And to be fair, he does. But he's too consumed by fear and guilt to admit it. Episode 7 paints this painful contrast between Amy's emotional clarity and Nathan's emotional confusion. Amy wants to move forward. Nathan is stuck in place. Amy wants a future. Nathan is drowning in the past. Amy is ready to trust. Nathan is terrified to choose. So when Amy finally breaks down, confronting the truth that something is slipping away before it ever had the chance to fully bloom, the moment becomes the emotional core of the entire episode. And perhaps the most heartbreaking part is that Amy still tries. She still reaches out. She still asks him to talk, still opens her heart, still hopes for honesty. But the trailer makes it clear. Nathan pulls away just when she steps closer. And that single painful step backward shatters something inside Amy. Not permanently, but deeply enough that the rest of the season will revolve around her, trying to make sense of what went wrong. Episode 7 becomes the turning point where Amy realizes that love doesn't break your heart all at once. Sometimes it breaks you in small, quiet moments, through distance, through silence, through the absence of the person you thought you could trust. And that realization changes everything. Episode 7 exposes the full extent of Nathan's sister's manipulation, and this is where the story takes a much darker turn, one that fans have been dreading since her first appearance. Up until now, she has been a subtle threat, someone operating in the background, someone whose comments felt annoying but not dangerous. But Episode 7 finally reveals her true intentions, and they're far worse than anyone expected. She isn't just trying to protect the ranch. She isn't just being cautious or overbearing. She is targeting Amy directly, and she is using every ounce of leverage she has over Nathan to push him away from the woman he cares about. The trailer hints at multiple scenes where Nathan's sister corners him emotionally, twisting every situation in her favor. She brings up their father repeatedly, weaponizing his memory, making Nathan feel like he is on the verge of betraying his entire family just by spending time with Amy. She reminds him of the financial strain the ranch is under, the unpaid bills, the risky investments, the growing responsibilities. But the worst part is how she frames Amy as the problem. She insists that Amy is a distraction, that Amy's drama with the horses is pulling Nathan away from what really matters, that Amy is influencing him in ways that will cost them the ranch. And Nathan, exhausted and overwhelmed, starts to believe her. That's when her influence becomes truly dangerous. Because she knows Nathan is vulnerable, she knows he feels guilty, she knows he hasn't processed his grief for their father properly. and episode 7 shows her pushing every emotional button she can to make Nathan compliant. There's a moment hinted in the trailer, quick, tense, and easy to miss, where Nathan looks genuinely conflicted. Episode 7 showcases how she uses subtle comments to create cracks. Comments like, "Amy doesn't understand our family." "Amy is too focused on her own issues." "Amy doesn't care about the ranch." And even, "Ty would have never allowed this kind of chaos." That last one is designed to wound Amy through Nathan, and it works. Nathan's silence becomes heavier, more painful, more deliberate. And Amy, feeling this emotional shift, starts pulling back too. Not because she wants to, but because she starts believing Nathan doesn't choose her, doesn't defend her, doesn't fight for her. One of the most intense moments of episode 7 comes when Amy accidentally overhears part of a conversation between Nathan and his sister. She doesn't hear everything, but she hears enough to understand that Nathan is being pressured. Hard. She hears her name. She hears the ranch. She hears the legacy. And she hears Nathan's hesitation. That hesitation hits her like a punch in the stomach because Amy knows what hesitation looks like. She's lived through loss. She's lived through grief. She's lived through doubt. And episode 7 forces her to face the painful truth that Nathan might not be willing to fight for her the way Ty once did. Meanwhile, Nathan's sister becomes even bolder. She pushes him to cut back on his time with Amy, pushes him to focus on the ranch full-time, pushes him to reconsider whether this relationship is worth the risk. And the frustrating thing is that Nathan doesn't push back. Not enough, not clearly, not loudly. Instead, he sinks deeper into his responsibilities, leaving Amy to navigate a heartbreak she never saw coming. Episode 7 exposes the true villain of the season, not through explosions or dramatic confrontations, but through emotional warfare. And the damage she causes will ripple through the next several episodes, creating divides, misunderstandings, and emotional wounds that won't heal easily. Because while Amy wants clarity, Nathan wants stability, and his sister, she wants control, no matter who she has to break in the process. Everything in episode 7 builds toward a single breaking point, a moment so emotionally heavy that it changes the course of the season completely. This is where all the tension, all the silence, all the manipulation suddenly collides, and Amy finds herself standing in the middle of a truth she never wanted to face. The trailer hints at this moment with a quick shot of Amy looking devastated, her eyes filled with that quiet heartbreak she tries so hard to hide. And when episode 7 reaches its climax, we finally understand why. After days of distance, hesitation, and confusion, Amy finally decides that she needs answers. She can't keep pretending everything is fine while Nathan slowly disappears behind a wall she can't break. So she approaches him, not angrily, not emotionally, but with that calm, steady tone she uses when she's trying not to fall apart. She asks him what's going on. She asks him why he's been pulling away. She asks him if she did something wrong. But Nathan, overwhelmed and exhausted, says the one thing she feared but never expected to hear. "I don't know if this is the right time for us." It's not a breakup. It's not a rejection. But it's the worst kind of uncertainty. And for Amy, that uncertainty is devastating. Because she didn't open her heart halfway, she opened it completely. She allowed herself to imagine a future, to dream again, to trust again. And Nathan's hesitation feels like a door closing that she wasn't ready to see shut. What makes this twist so emotionally gutting is that Nathan isn't trying to hurt her. He's genuinely torn, genuinely confused, genuinely trying to protect something he feels responsible for. But good intentions don't soften the blow. Amy hears those words and immediately feels herself retreat, not physically, but emotionally, the same way someone instinctively pulls back after touching something that burns. She realizes that she is ready for something. Nathan isn't prepared to offer, not because he doesn't care about her, but because he's trapped in a battle he hasn't learned how to fight. And episode 7 doesn't give the audience any easy answers either. Just when you think the scene can't get heavier, it does. Because Amy walks away, Not dramatically, not angrily, but with a quiet, controlled sadness that hurts more than any outburst ever could. She gives Nathan space because she respects his struggle, but that doesn't stop the sorrow from settling in. And this is where the real game-changing twist hits. As Amy distances herself, as Nathan tries to make sense of his loyalty to the ranch and his feelings for her, Dex and Katie step into the spotlight in a way nobody expected. Their storyline, which has been simmering in the background for episodes, suddenly becomes the emotional counterweight to Amy and Nathan's collapse. Dex, determined to fix the mistakes he made in episode 6, begins taking real responsibility